Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. Today we're going to talk about a few things. One, how to get over a guy, how to really recognize the red flags. Like, where do you have to be in life to really be able to see this? And one of my girls said, can you talk about how not to get so excited about the quote unquote fairy tale, maybe when you're on your fifth date and you're thinking, oh my gosh, maybe this is really somebody, how to not get ahead of yourself in those situations. So, and then also how to really get over the guy. So a lot of us are in this situation where there's still a guy in the past, or maybe he's right now, maybe you have to break up with him, or you're in the process of getting over him. Maybe you're in that point where you are, if he texts you, you're going to be like texting him. If he says, can I come over? You're going to allow him to come over. Like, what do you do? So I'm not going to go through that process right now, but what I'm going to help you do is when you're getting over him, and then you're tempted to maybe go on a dating website right after. So you're raw, you're emotional, maybe you're still crying, maybe you're still thinking about him, you're still Instagram, Facebook stalking him, yet there you are back on Bumble, back on Match, back on Tinder, wherever you're doing your online dating. Okay, so then what I will teach you, which is probably extremely unpopular, but I know for sure that it works, is that we have to give ourselves time to heal. I mean, doesn't it make sense? You went through a relationship, you feel damaged, you feel hurt, you went through that feeling of rejection, that feeling of pain, that feeling of, oh my gosh, another failed relationship. So this is not the mindset to then go online. Your energy isn't right. You're not feeling the best about yourself. So that text from that guy becomes a gumball. Any guy that reaches out to you is really the question you're asking yourself at that point is, am I desirable? Am I okay? Am I lovable? Because when we're feeling that pain of rejection and we go back out into the dating world, this is when girls say to me, Melissa, am I the gumball girl? And I'll tell you, this pattern right here is the gateway to gumball girl, because it's trying to soothe versus really being open to connection. And what we do in the Back to You Academy is we transfer you from that pattern that is just going to bring you another relationship that's going to cause more pain to embracing your life and looking at things a little bit differently. So one, I know it's like, oh, Melissa, but I don't want to like wait around. Does this mean, one person's like, okay, I guess then I'm not going to date for like forever. No, it doesn't have to be forever. I always say if I could talk you into doing it for 1 year, which I know is like, whoa, dude, like really, mid 2020 is the next time I'm going on a date. I don't know, maybe, but have you ever considered really just giving yourself some time? Because why would I do that? So one, what I want you to, and this is what we do in the Back to You Academy, and this is what I would love to have time for you to do. And I'm starting a class this week, and I'm starting one next week. So next week would be, let me just pull up the calendar. One moment, please. Hold, please, my friend. Okay, so we're going to start one this week and August 5th, which would be Monday. So I'm doing another launch because life has been, June and July were, as a side note, extremely hard months for me. It was a lot of challenges and family emergencies and just life, life hit me pretty hard in the last couple of months. So I needed some time to recalibrate, reorganize, and get all my systems back in place. So I'm also really working with the girls inside the academy. And what I'm teaching them is also really figuring out, what do you want? And we talked about this a little bit in the last podcast, but how do you get over a guy? How do you live this life? Well, for one, I was trying to think of this word when I was coaching one of my clients. Like, what is this word I'm trying to think of? And I finally thought of it. You need to get rooted in your own life. Because the reason online dating, although it is soothing and fun to get that text, it's also scary. And it's scary because one tiny wind blows and he can disrupt your whole life. He can take that, the dedication that you have in your job, the fact that your laundry's done, the fact that you're eating right and you're going to the gym. One new dude shows up and all of a sudden it all goes to crap because all the focus goes on to him. The reason that's happening is because you have this idea that all of your happiness can be fulfilled with this relationship. And you're in such a hurry to make it happen that you're not doing any of the things to root yourself in your own life. And I'll get to about rooting ourselves in our own life. But you're in a rush. Oh my gosh, I'm 35. Oh my gosh, I'm almost 40. You know what? Okay, so what? I hate to bring it back to this, but it's like people are dying. People are going through hellacious things all over this world. Like the fact that we're single is not that big of a deal. We need to get the F over ourselves about being single. You know what I mean? Like hashtag real talk. Seriously, you're not a mutant, okay? And what I always return to is that 70 freaking percent of married people are cheating on each other, men and women. Sorry, girls, we're not in a better club. I mean, it's slightly more with men, but not enough to even talk about. So here we have this quote unquote fairy tale that's supposed to be so great when 7 out of 10 of them are totally screwed up. Why? Because they didn't do what I'm telling you that we all should be doing before we even think about going into a relationship. Now, I know people that grew up being already rooted. Nobody was able to disrupt or throw them off center because they already had a moral code, and moral code's not really the right word, but they didn't have people that even in their lives that even tried to pull them off. So they don't even relate. So sometimes when you're talking to a married person that's actually married to a good person, you tell them these things and they're like, they don't even really understand what you're saying, which then makes you feel like, am I a weirdo? No, they just have really never experienced someone obliterating their life. And when that happens, it's so damaging. Yet, also side note, when you have been damaged by this kind of guy, we underestimate what it's really done to us. How many doubts, how many things about you do you now question? I mean, I've done Instagram stories where, I just came across a memory of one where I was calling attention to the fact that I love philodendron and those viney plants that hang, and I have all these plants now in my apartment and I love it. And I'm like, oh, I want to find this and I want to find that. And like, there's still, back then, now I don't really feel it as much, but in that moment, I think it was like even a year and a half ago, there was still like a little bit of judgment in my head from some stupid gumball guy. And it wasn't even a specific one. There's just that feeling of like, Is this stupid that I want this plant? Is this dumb that I like these flowers here? Is this a stupid way to arrange my furniture? It's like, well, do you like it? Then if you like it, who cares? But the fact is, we still care because there's still these tapes running in our mind of previous men that we're still operating we are operating under this false aura of abuse. And these patterns are still repeating, even when he's not there, because we haven't shifted into our new life yet, or even into the life that we were originally supposed to have. This is why sometimes when I'm saying when I say the Back to You Academy, back to you means let's focus on you. Let's focus on your life. Let's get rooted. But sometimes when I've thought about changing the name of it, because it's almost like I'm not going back to the way I was. I'm going forward to figure out who I actually am. But we have to take a step back and go back to ourselves and go, okay, who am I? Who am I? Who are you? And if you don't like hanging out with yourself, like if I can't say to you, I'm going to challenge you to go somewhere by yourself. And I'm not even going to tell you to pretend like you enjoy it. Like, go take yourself out to dinner. Most people are like, well, that sucks. I hate that idea. But why? Why do you hate that idea? You know why you hate that idea? Because you don't like hanging out with yourself. Because you feel embarrassed to be with yourself out in public alone. And why? Because why? I don't like my body. I don't like my hair. I just feel stupid. Why? Why do you feel stupid? Because you're by yourself, so you're not worthy enough to sit at a table and have a glass of wine and maybe read a book? Because why? Like, who's judging you? This is the stuff that we don't ever ask ourselves. We pretend like, oh, I really don't like eating out by myself. And it's not like, look, I'm not expecting you to go take yourself out to dinner every night. But if you want to go somewhere, go do it. Can you live your life just by yourself and do things? Now, I want you to hang out with your friends too, but let's not get distracted by that. I'm just saying, like, why don't you want to hang out with yourself? Why aren't you doing things alone? And when you're alone, are you focused on the fact that you're alone? Because you have an insecurity around this for some reason, because being alone is bad. Bad according to who? According to your married friends that are cheating on each other? You know what I mean? Like, who are these people sitting in these seats of judgment, looking at your life going, oh, I wonder what's wrong with her. So you might be saying, well, Melissa, guess what? I have those. It's called my mom, my dad, my sister. I go to events and they're like, what's the matter? How come you're not married? You're so beautiful. I would think you'd be married by now. And you're like, I want to rip somebody's head off. It's like it pisses you off. And then you're like, yeah, well, and then you feel like you have to come up with some answer to appease Aunt whoever that is sitting there. And then you want to go, really, Aunt whoever, like, you're married to that. And, so yeah, I don't want your life, actually, Aunt Judith or whoever it is. I would say Ruth. There's this really grouchy lady in my neighborhood named Ruth. So like, now, sorry if your name's Ruth, but if it's like a nasty lady, it's like, whatever, Ruth. Anyway, so then those people, but sometimes it's like, okay, are we living our lives in fear of Ruth judging us, who's married to a guy that you don't want to be married to? Like, let's just think about everybody that's married. Do you want their marriages? Like, go spend some time with some married people. I'm telling you, you look around and you're like, okay, who has the fairy tale? Because so far, I don't see it. I mean, even these princesses in England, it's like they have to give up their lives. No social media. Meghan Markle, guess what? You are a talented actress and you're done now. You don't get to work. You don't get to say anything. Your voice, UK, British, what's her name? Queen of England. Guess what? She told you, shut up. You go silent. Just wave like a pretty princess, because your voice is zero now. I mean, I'm sorry, but Meghan, you could have done better. I mean, how long can you flit around in a palace and then, basically you're just getting your photo taken by paparazzi and you're eating fancy meals. I mean, she gave up her life, all of her freedom. And of course, I know she does interviews, whatever. Don't hate me because of Meghan Markle, but I'm just saying, like, being a princess, even when you have the fairy tale, I remember watching it, like, okay, there she is in the carriage, like Cinderella. But then what happens after that? No more acting, no more work, have some babies, stay quiet. Don't say anything unless it's approved by the palace. So where is this who has the fairy tale? Nobody has it. It's fake. It's a fake thing. So we're over here feeling bad because we don't have something that's not even real. Think about that. It's not even real. Okay, I told myself, don't get too fired up. I could just tell I was already going to be fired up at this episode. So here it is. All right. So then we acknowledge that it's not real. We acknowledge that people that are married are cheating on each other by the millions. And then 50% of them end up divorcing. Sounds like the other 20% that are cheating probably should divorce too. But, maybe there are people that do make it through cheating. They go through therapy, because I think there are people that do cheat that really aren't gumball people. It's just, everyone's human. So things can happen. If two people really are committed to doing the work, then I believe that some can make it through, but it's freaking rare. So, because you have to rebuild that trust, and you have to, if you're the cheater, you have to be willing to live in Schmuckville for a while before you've earned the trust of your partner, and it just takes time. So the ones that can do that work and realize the damage that they have created will make it. But that's the other thing too. So as we are, there's a boat in the harbor. I live right on the water, so summertime. Probably can't even hear it that much, but okay. So once we acknowledge that the fairy tale isn't real, these people that are married, most likely 7 out of 10 are cheating. We have 30% that are actually quote unquote happy. And then I've asked and researched, if you're like, but Melissa, what if I just want to have sex? That's like, okay, so in the fairy tale that really exists, like really people that are married and they're happy, they have sex max 10 times a month. And that's good. That's considered like, twice a week. Happy couples are like, yeah, that's a good amount. Once a week, usually twice a week is like really good. Okay, so 8 to 10 times a month is considered rock star. So this is me doing the math, but like average sexual experience is 2 to 8 minutes. Okay, so if you're doing it twice a week, that's 16 minutes a week of sex. 16 minutes a week. So if you're like, Melissa, what if, I just haven't been with somebody in so long? It's like, well, are you rushing to get married for your 16 minutes a week? You know what I mean? Like, it can't be about the sex either, because it's got to be about the actual marriage. You have to be pursuing the real thing. So what are you pursuing? Then you start to realize, well, okay, if 7 out of 10 are cheating and the ones that are actually doing it right are only doing it twice a week max, what am I doing? It's like, exactly. Why are you in such a rush and a panic and putting all this pressure in this timeline? Yes, it's great. I'm not saying that when you find the right person, it's so lovely, right? You have a partner, you have a best friend, but I'm leading you down this road to make you realize that if you're looking for sex and romance down this road, that's the least amount. That's the smallest part of marriage, is sex and romance. And it's not that they don't have it. I talk to couples. I interview them. Do you have sex and romance? They will say yes. However, they work at it. So it's, even for them, it's not a bed of roses. So what should we be doing? Should we be even searching for this? I feel like the actual search of it is sort of counterintuitive, because, and this is why I got off of online dating, because I just realized, man, life is so important. Like, You have a calling on your life, whether you want to believe it or not. You are not here on planet Earth just to take up space and walk around and be someone's wife. It's like we're closing in on 2020. We are not just here to be a wife and even a mother, because even if you're a mom, you might have kids, but in 18 years, they're moving on with their lives. Like your life can't be all about them either. But if you're supposed to be someone's mom, and God wanted you and me on this earth, right? He was like, you know what? I need them to be on this planet walking around. So he figured out how to make that happen. If you are supposed to be a mother and you are supposed to bring somebody to this earth, God will get that person introduced to you so you make that baby. Like that person is destined to be here just like you were destined to be here. So if you're worried about having kids, if you're supposed to, you will. But maybe you're not supposed to. Maybe you're supposed to do something completely different that will make you wildly happy. Do you know how freaking happy I am? I mean, you guys, the girls in the membership, when I started this, I was like, okay, I'm going to do the academy, do it 4 weeks. You get 4 weeks of group coaching. And then I thought, after 4 weeks, it's only a month. Like we need to support each other more every week. So I'm going to just keep running this and see. I thought people would get bored. I thought people would kind of fizzle out. But you know what? It's getting stronger. I mean, we have almost 100% attendance every week. Everyone's like, I need these weekly calls, because now they're like, ooh, now we're really getting somewhere. Now I really understand. Now I really get what has been wrong this whole time. I kept going back to the dating app, and then I would repeat the cycle because I wasn't ready, because I hadn't invested in myself, because I hadn't paid attention to my own life. I hadn't gotten rooted. Okay, so let's talk about that. You got to spend time, like really, I know people say like journal, but journaling is really therapy, because when you journal, it is what you would probably sit down. It should be what you talk to your therapist about. You really should be able to talk to your therapist like you journal. If you can get as brutally honest with your therapist, like one of my girls, she's like, okay, Melissa, I got to be honest because I can't lie to you. I've got to be straight with you. And then she told me what she felt like was her worst fear, or what was like the most embarrassing. And when she said it, I was just like, honey, you're so normal. And she was like, man, just saying that out loud was just like so hard for me. And I'm like, I'm glad you said it out loud, because you need to know that it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to want this or that. And so if you don't go to a therapist, or even between therapy sessions, it's so important to write down, what is it that I actually want? Because as we talked about in the last podcast, if you're living a life that isn't even what you want to do, you're not even going to find the right friends, because you're an imposter. There's so many, I think most people are imposters. Most people are doing jobs they don't like, and then they're coming home and watching TV shows to help them forget the job that they don't like. And then they're drinking alcohol to forget it more. And then some people go to the extreme of doing drugs. Marijuana is becoming so popular because everyone is trying to escape. If we're doing something that gets us high, we're escaping from something. We're trying to relax. We're trying to calm the anxiety. Where is it coming from? It's coming because we're dissatisfied. It's coming because we don't want what we have. So we're trying to get to a place where it doesn't feel like what we have, right? I know this is a lot of truth, but it is, I'm just giving it to you real. So I also want you to think about, if you focus on a relationship, actually, if you focus on your ex for a second, and you're sad in that moment, and you're like, you just have that, I want you to try to shift that thought and go, what is the ideal that I would actually be looking for? And I don't mean fairy tale. Sorry, I'm shifting gears here, but I'm looking at my note. I actually made notes, which sometimes notes distract me. But that had too much to cover, and I wanted to make sure that I stay on track. So what I was trying to say is, my therapist would always tell me, focus on the ideal. What does the ideal relationship look like for you? And, when he was saying that, I had no idea. Of course I could have thought about it, but I wasn't even living the life. I was not living a life even close to what is actually me. So I had no idea how to even describe an ideal man. Most of us, when we describe an ideal man, we think of like, well, it'd be nice if he was tall, although I always like a tall guy, as I'm tall. But we think of like, I want him to be, successful and this and that. And of course, those things are important. But the more, I think the problem is that when we are not rooted, so I want you to imagine like you're just this beautiful little flower and you've just been planted and how those little roots, they're just little spindly roots. Like if you just get out of a new relationship, you're just this pretty little flower that hasn't rooted herself in, like, what do you actually, like, if I sit down with you and I say, what do you do for a living? And I want you to be able to say, this is what I do for a living. But you know what? I interview and coach women that are lawyers, surgeons, and they're embarrassed of what they do, or they feel, I shouldn't say embarrassed, but they feel like what they do is a liability. So it's like, even though you have the job, are you actually making it part of who you are? And I don't mean to say, like, I know we need to separate our who from our do, but I mean, when somebody says to you, let's say you are a lawyer and you're on a date and he says, what do you do? I mean, I have lawyers that say they're something else. I'm a paralegal when they're really a lawyer. Or even if they're a paralegal, that's even a paralegal is threatening because you know the law and you're in important meetings. So it's like if they're the lawyer, they'll say they're the paralegal. If they're the paralegal, they'll say something different. Well, I work in a law office and I work on whatever. It's like they don't even feel like they can say what they are or what they do. I remember my first corporate job, I was traveling every other week and I was meeting with top corporations, and I would be on dates and it would be threatening to a guy, and they would be like really into me, and all of a sudden they would realize I had a better job than them and I would be treated differently. So I felt punished for success. I shouldn't have felt punished for success. I should have been like, ooh, I'm on a date with the wrong guy. Because there are dudes out there that want you to be a lawyer, that want you to be the paralegal. They want a badass. You need to find the guy that lights up when he hears the badass, not the guy that's like, oh, well, you have a better apartment than me. I know, I really need to. No, I don't want to hear that I have a better apartment than you. I don't want to hear that my job is so cool and you really wish you had. No. He's not ready. But until you feel 100% clear on your job, the money you make, the way that you live, and that is all okay, and you only date men that are not threatened by that are also you're looking for a true alpha dog. Because you're an alpha female. And we kind of throw this term around a lot, but what I mean by that is an alpha wolf is able to be the leader, but he does not look for a weaker female. The female in a wolf pack is not weak. They both are equals. They both run that pack equally. Because in the wild, they can't afford to have a weak partner. It's got to be two strong partners. So when you have a secure man, that's what he's looking for. But right now, if that concept is completely foreign to you, the idea of that kind of man, it means you don't know enough men like that. You haven't spent enough time around men like that. We've spent our time around insecure men. Maybe your dad is insecure, maybe your uncles, maybe your brother, maybe your boss. Sometimes we have an insecure gumball boss where your accomplishments are not appreciated. You need to work somewhere where when you really kick ass, it's appreciated, it's recognized, it's talked about, it's awarded. That's when you know you're in a healthy work environment. So sometimes you guys, we're so focused on finding a dude, we don't even see that our whole workplace is completely unhealthy. You're being mistreated. You have a, what is the word called? I can't think of it. Starts with an M. I cannot think of the word. Where the guy just looks down at women and it's not macho either, but you know what I'm saying? Everyone's like screaming the word and I can't think of it. Anyway, when we're around those kinds of men, that's what I want you to look at. Like, in my life every day right now, are there any gumball people in my work? Do you have a gumball personal trainer at the gym? Sometimes, you got to look at even your personal trainer. Like, even last year, I had a personal trainer, realized gumball guy. I don't even want to tell the story, but he told me a story about a date he was on, and I was like, ooh, that was the last session. I'm done. I am not going to allow myself to be around that kind of energy, that kind of man. I had a dentist that was horribly rude to me. Done. I said, give me my records. You will no longer be my dentist. I stopped him in the middle because he wouldn't even polish the tooth after he did I was like, you're not going to polish the tooth? He goes, I've been doing this for 20 years. I was like, I know, if you've been doing it for 20 years, you should know you don't leave a rough tooth for your patient. That's pretty 101 dentist, right? He started arguing with me and I was like, doctor, you're done. And this is over. And I walked out, grabbed my paperwork, and I found the most amazing dentist who was so doting, texts me after my appointment. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Is everything okay? And he's like, you need to make sure you come in every 3 months and get your teeth checked. 'Cause I've had so much dental work. I have to go in more often. And so conscientious, so helpful and proactive. He's not looking for me to stroke his ego. It's not about him. It's about me. He puts his patient first. But do you see, I could have kept going back to abusive dentist, but no, I want you to take your life that seriously. You don't get to have a jerk CPA. You don't get to have a jerk boss. You need to get all of this stuff cleaned out of your life. Why? Because when girls say to me, how do I recognize the red flags? Well, you're not going to recognize red flags very easily if you're allowing people to constantly pick at you, treat you kind of crappy, talk down to you, even your gumball girlfriends. I mean, are you having lunch with somebody that's not really even paying attention to what you're saying? Spacing off. You're saying entire things and they don't even respond? Or you get a and then you say, hey, I'm going to let you go. And they don't even notice that they weren't paying attention to the whole thing you were just saying. Or something that's really bothering you, or something that was really bothering you, you're talking through it, no response on the other end. There's kind of, or just low volume. You guys, that stuff does damage. So we have to look at our lives and go, okay, I need to put up this is what putting up boundaries really looks like. I got to really figure out, who am I letting in? Who am I spending time with? Who am I still allowing to verbally abuse me, even if it's subtle, even if it's slight? You may need to change jobs. And I don't mean to say make your life all perfect to meet a guy, but it's more of, if we want to be ready for our life partner, and we really want to, it's almost it's not getting ready for him necessarily. It's bringing your leveling up to a point where you do really meet the ideal person that comes in and your life is at a place where you're rooted, you're comfortable, you know exactly who you are, and that person will complement you at your best life. When we're dating and we're not over the X, when we haven't gotten rid of people that are sucking the life out of us, when we have not taken care of ourselves, it's that place where we go on a dating app, we're not ready. So it's almost like I want to give you this visual of let's say you're in a building and your life really is destined at a level 20. But right now you're on level 9. And it's not like you have to change yourself to become someone different. But a lot of times leveling up is realizing who you are. It's almost like you're on level 9 and you're not at level 20 because you don't really see who you are and what you're supposed to be and what you have inside of you. I was just telling my girls that I feel like when I'm working with clients, the whole time I'm talking to you, I see this rosebud just tightly, and all I'm doing is helping you bloom. I'm just helping you relax so that you can bloom and see who you actually already are. It's already there. You know, I just told 2 of my girls, I'm like, I saw this day 1, but my work with you is helping you see it in yourself. And mentally, that's what's going to take you up and rise up to those levels. So you're like, oh, yeah, now I'm at level 10 and I see it a little bit more. And then you start to, instead of going on that dating app, you walk in and you take a class, which then reveals a little bit more. Oh, no wonder why I had that interest in blah, 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 because I took this class and I realized, yes, this is why, and then all these light bulbs go off. It's not a matter of changing you. It's bringing you out. It's showing you that the other version of you is perfectly fine. But if you give yourself a little bit of time to bloom and grow and actually nourish what's already there, then imagine who you can attract in full bloom. You want to attract the person who sees you at your best, at your most great, at the highest level, where you are at the top of your game. You don't want to date when you're healing. You're not at the top of your game there. You need to do, and this is where it's like, okay, do I love myself enough to take care of me right now? Because taking care of me is not putting me back on the market where I am vulnerable to be hurt. Does that make sense? Because in that moment, we are relying on that guy, whoever he is. Just think about that for a second. Like you're sitting there, you're not feeling good because you're missing your ex, things didn't work out, you feel like you've been rejected. So then you go on the dating app. All we're doing is going on the dating app to say, am I okay? Am I still desirable? Am I going to be alone, or am I going to actually be able to find somebody? And then when guys start to reach out, it's like, okay, I'm okay. I guess I'm still desirable. Here's the big key. You have to know that 100% before you show up. If you're on that dating app and you don't know with 100% certainty what you have to offer and who you are and what you represent to the right person, you have no business being there. Because I know you. You will love somebody until, even if they were in an accident, in a wheelchair, you don't leave that person. If you would, you're not my girl. My girl, you stay till death do us part. That's the kind of person you are. You would say, oh, I guess my husband is in an accident. I'm not going to have sex for the rest of my life. But that's my best friend there. And I married him and I love him forever and I'm never leaving. That's who you are. You're the kind of girl that if you find a guy and he has children, you will act like they are your children. You will be there for them. You'll make the Halloween costume or find somebody who can, because I certainly can't make the Halloween costume, but you'll make it fun. You will do what it takes to have a positive relationship with the ex. You will go take care of his grandma if she's sick in the hospital. You'll go sit in the hospital with his family because it will be your family. You're a ride or die. You are that amazing girl that he's like, I'm so lucky to be with you because you're the real thing. You are the wife material. That the guy that's looking, you have to be able to recognize your worth because you need to be able to see, just like Dana pulled a quote, my podcast producer, from when I said, when you finally see you, then you'll recognize when somebody else sees you, right? So you got to be able to see that. And when people don't see it, it's like, are there any cheap diamonds at Tiffany's right now? If I go up to Tiffany's on Fifth Avenue, can I find a $20 costume jewelry ring at Tiffany's? No, because it doesn't have enough worth and value. Tiffany's doesn't want it because it looks at that ring and says, no, it's not valuable. It only recognizes the best, the highest quality, the clarity, the color, the cut, all this stuff. Like, jewelry stores have no problem saying, nope, we don't take any of that. Take all your costume stuff. We're Tiffany's. So we only accept the best because we recognize it. And then the people that go in there and spend the money also recognize the value and they're willing to pay it. So someone can walk into the Met and look at a Van Gogh or a Monet and say, I wouldn't pay $20 for it. Guess what? Doesn't matter, because those are worth millions of dollars because other people see the value because they know the history. And that's where I want you to see, where you may not be the guy that looks at the Monet and says, I wouldn't pay $20 for it. He doesn't get it. So the guy that's looking at you and treating you poorly, he doesn't get it. So, but we have to separate the idea that we can't put any value on his opinion, right? You have to get to a point where you're like, oh, you didn't see me for the value that I am. I can't put any value on that opinion. Because if you don't see what's priceless, you don't see what's valuable, you don't see what's long-term, you don't see what's worth the investment. If that's not wildly apparent to you, then I gotta go. Because the Met does not sit there and try to convince the guy that won't pay $20. They don't care. They don't even acknowledge that dude. He might walk in and walk out, but nobody is there trying to sell him. Because they just sit there, the paintings sit there and hold their value regardless of the person that doesn't see it. You have to see that your value, it's much more than a Monet. You know what I mean? That's just a painting. You're a person and you offer so much. You're listening to this podcast because you have struggled to love a man who cannot accept your love. That's really what it comes down to. It's so much for him. He's overwhelmed with you. You're so good. You're so beautiful. He's so intimidated. If I could just go back in time and tell myself these things, actually, I wouldn't be here delivering this content because I wouldn't have gone through guy after guy after guy trying to minimize myself. If I had known that minimizing myself would cause a delay, it would have saved me so much time. So that's what I want to end this on. Just realize that every time you go back to that app, you're getting off the interstate, you're at a rest stop. You are not going to get anywhere with that relationship because you're not ready for it. That guy, whoever he is not going to recognize your value because you're not even seeing your own value. So you're going to stay on level 9 and hang out on that floor when really you're destined for level 20. You're penthouse material. Like, that's where you're supposed to be. And you know what? I know you know it. You know it. You know that the life you're living right now is not the life you've imagined for yourself. And so if that is the case, then that's the part we need to focus on. What is it? And I don't feel like you need to change who you are. But I do believe there are things we need to change in our life. Like if you're not taking care of your body, you need to start taking care of your body. Vitamins, juicing. Look, I don't get it perfect every day. I've backslid. This summer has been hard, but if I wasn't working out, I was juicing. I was taking vitamins. I'm a work in progress. But we have to be conscientious, getting to the doctor, doing our visits, making sure we're taking care of ourselves, our body first, making sure that you're connecting with your faith. Like, what have you let go? What have you let go that's like a super important, critical part of your existence? Like, if your faith is super important to you and you haven't talked to God in months, you got to get back to connecting with that. This is part of getting back to you. Because I know for a long time, like, faith is really important. It's so important. It's the most important thing to me. Yet I was trying to date guys where faith wasn't important to them, thinking that could be something that could be changed. Now, today, Melissa, I will not date anyone outside of my faith ever again, because I know how important that is, and that's a non-negotiable for me. So some people, I used to think like, oh my gosh, that would actually make the dating pool so much smaller. Yes, it narrows it to the best and most ideal people for you. What are your non-negotiables? Are you afraid to have non-negotiables? Are you afraid to live a little bit of time on your own? We have to conquer these fears so we understand what we're up against. And then I hope and pray for all of you that in this process, whether you join the Back to You Academy or not, that you really feel inspired to pursue whatever it is that you were put on this earth to do. Because I don't believe that your life's purpose was about being somebody's wife. I really don't. I think that could be part of it, absolutely. I believe that your husband, my husband, will be definitely a major contribution, no question. I don't want to downplay that, because I do believe that when you find the right person for you, that really is your partner, man, that's when they really make a contribution. But it's a contribution just like you would contribute to their life, but it doesn't take away or dilute what you are supposed to do. Just because you have a significant other, it doesn't change the fact that you have a specific mission that's assigned just to you. So that should be our focus. So I want to bring you, back to your mission, back to your purpose, back to your life. So I want you to really enjoy it. So this is also the fun part. Like, when you go on this journey, I mean, this is just so fun for me to watch the girls in the academy just find stuff that they like to do that they didn't even think about. And I don't mean, yeah, go find some hobbies, go find some stuff you like to do. Yeah, I mean, that's fun. But it's like, everyone's like, oh, I've tried some hobbies, but it's like, no, you got to find the thing that you obsess about. Like, I obsess about relationships, have tons of books in front of me, love it. But I also found another thing I obsess about, and that's ballroom dancing. So like, when I'm not doing this, I'm doing that. And when I'm not doing that, I know what book I want to read. I know what podcasts I'm into. Like, I got very specific about all of the things that I really like. And you know what? I'm not done. I'm still looking for stuff and still exploring those interests. I just saw Caroline Leaf, who's a fabulous brain specialist. She said, don't really follow passions, follow curiosity, which I love that. What are you curious about? And maybe just allowing yourself to just go down those roads. What am I curious about? This is what life is all about, because when you're married, you're still going to be doing this. You're going to be such a let me tell you, there are so many boring wives because they did just find the guy and yeah, he's nice, but they don't do anything. They're bored. You guys, most married people are so boring because they didn't find a life before they got married. So they just gotta get up, go to work, take care of the kids, come home. What do you want for dinner? Yeah, like they're bored. He's bored. She's bored. It's like, this is This is the fairy tale? No. So, I mean, the society standard, what is this being set by? The media? Some movies? You know what I mean? And who's making the movie? Nobody making the movies has it together either. Like, let's name any celebrity couple that's been together for any length of time. I mean, it's only a handful. Most of these people are a hot mess express writing about romance that is unattainable. But it's entertaining, yes. So you can watch it for the entertainment value. But the real thing, when it's actually really achieved, it's so much better. Like when I see couples that, Lauren Everett and Michael Bosstick from the Skinny Confidential, she might look like Barbie, and they kind of have a fun, quirky relationship. When you first start following them on social media, you might make some snap judgments, but those two, they are best friends. They travel together. They work together. They work on their relationship together. When you hear them on podcasts, you hear how their dynamics. Like, to me, that is a happy, fun. They are having an amazing time. They built their lives from when they knew each other in junior high. So they've known each other from when they had nothing to now they're multi-millionaires running a successful podcast, successful blog. I mean, they're really hard workers, though. They're hard workers in their lives, but they are constantly, each individually, they have completely their own lives, yet they also bring them together. And I really think that is a huge thing that has gone missing in this whole understanding. People are still teaching like dating tips and tricks, like for what? I mean, if you need tips and tricks about how to be on a date, you're on a date with the wrong person. You're not going to need one tip or trick. You are a whole person. You have so much to offer. If I pick the right topic of conversation for you, we're not going to have trouble keeping the conversation going. So it's our job to know who we sync up to. And when you don't sync up to somebody, or it's just not a connection, we have to be in the mindset of, yeah, nice guy, but man, we are just not a fit, because he is just, it's like, whoa, I always know if I can't talk to somebody, if I cannot keep a conversation going, I can talk about anything. So if I'm on a date and it's like, yeah, if I'm talking about the weather, it is over. It's like I've lost all ability to form any kind of conversation, because some people, I call them, I called this one guy, who was an ex-boyfriend of mine, his friend, I called him dead puppies, because like every conversation, no matter what you brought up, he would just kill it. It was just like, no matter what, I'd be like, it was like we brought up dead puppies, and everybody would just, like, you could see, oh my gosh, the sun is shining, it's so amazing. And then he would have something to just ruin it. Yeah, but it's so hot. And then, where it's just going to turn to winter anyway. So, it's just, I don't even know. Like, I can't even make happy sunshine weather bad, but he would figure out a way to do it. And sometimes we're just in situations where that's what's happening. You're just around somebody who's a buzzkill. But if you don't know yourself, you don't really like who you are, and you're not like, hey, I am who I am. I'm happy with it. Some people like it. Some people don't. I'm good, because I can't please everybody. And I want to find somebody who, when I meet them, it just clicks. I get along with them, and I don't have to do a bunch of different stuff to get them to like me. You have to be there. So then if you do decide to go on an online dating app, and some guy's like, hey, what's up? How are you? Letter R, letter U, yuck, yuck. It's like, you don't even respond. You don't even respond. You delete. Because that guy has already shown, like, I don't even want a guy that texts me after 10 months and says, how are, letter U. It's like, I already know that's not the kind of person that I'm going to relate to. I don't want a guy that asks me, that says, you have nice eyes, like in the movie Hitch. You have a beautiful smile. Good morning. It's like, any guy says good morning one more time. It's like, hey, PSA, stop saying good morning. It's like the good morning text is so generic, but they're still doing it because they don't know what to do. You guys, we're trying to be dream girls to duds. Stop trying to figure out how to win over a dud. He's not even doing anything. And we're worried about what he thinks. You gotta shift your mindset. So it does take some work, and it does take a lot of adjustments in our own life. But let me tell you, it's worth it, because let me remind you, being happily single and being happily married, you take the percentage of people that are happily single, take a percentage of people that are happily married. The difference in happiness level, it's in Psychology Today, they did a study, 0.3 of a percentage point. 0.3 of not even a 0.5%. 0.3. It's like there's no difference. So when you figure out how to get happily single, you're no different than someone that's happily married. Think about that. Think about how your life's happiness is not in another person. Yes, being married will offer some benefits, but it also brings in liabilities. This is a whole nother person. A person that says, I don't like living in the city. I want to live in the country. I like to live in the city. I don't want to live I want to do this. I don't want to do that. Like, you're not going to agree on everything. So there brings down the happiness level a little bit. So you got to balance, you got to compromise. And I'm not saying that it's all not great, because it can be, but it's got to be with the exact right person for you, where it's like, you know what, although I have to make compromises, I cannot imagine my life without this person. And they're like, I cannot imagine my life without you. And you have a great time hanging out. And you have a lot of fun together. You really enjoy each other's time. There's no question that you're calling each other back. There are no games. You are always in the process of building and enriching your friendship. That, my friends, is the only way it works. So if there is a game required, if you need a script, if you need this or that, or if you're listening to some dude tell you what all dudes want, it's so old. Don't buy that crap. It's all gimmicks. It's all temporary stuff. Sure. Basically, all the stuff that men are telling you what men want is helping you play games with gumball guys. It's helping you be a dream girl to the dud guy who's not putting any effort. How to get him to put in effort? It's like, why would I want to try to get a guy to put in effort that doesn't want to in the first place? You need to find the guy that's already willing to put in the effort. Period. The end. He's got to show up alpha dog. These guys that are like, what up? They think they're alpha dogs? No, I'm sorry. You're like beta or somewhere down the line, but you're no alpha, because alphas show up. Hey, my name's Adam. Nice to meet you. I saw your profile. Love that you love blah, blah, blah. Would love to chat sometime. That's a normal guy. Hi, I'm going to introduce myself like a human being, because I guarantee you, if that guy is in corporate America and he sends an email to a colleague, he's not going to go, how are you? So he does know how to communicate, not like a caveman, but when he reaches out to some girl online, he decides to become a total, like, mutant child and goes into, it's like, what just happened here, dude? Like, I don't even know. But when you really need to show up, you actually know what to do. But when it comes to the dating app, you get lazy. You don't want to. You're bored. Or he's like, hey, what's up? And you're like, and then you're all cheerful. Hi, how are you? What are you doing? What are you up to? Watching the game. And then you're like, what game? Yankees. Oh, good. Is it a good game? Yup. It's like, bye-bye, dude. I mean, no energy, no effort, no even interest. It's like he's not even interested in himself. You know what I mean? He's just sitting there escaping from his life. You deserve somebody who's engaged, somebody who is excited about what they're doing in life, who is looking for, think about it. When you are at a point where you're like, hey, you know what? I'm really pretty happy with my life. I'm going to the gym. I'm taking care of myself. I love my job. I'm pursuing passions and interests. Then it's like you're open. But when you find somebody you're interested in and you think, hey, you're going to be enthusiastic. And that's the thing we need to be looking for, is enthusiasm, some passion, some gumption, is there anything in there? Hey, are you in there? Or are you watching the game? Good morning. It's like, bye-bye. You cannot entertain that. You have to get to the point where you see yourself as too high value to be answering that text. You do not answer texts like that. You are looking for a different type of guy. So fired up. You've got to take the time to realize what level you're actually on. And that kind of person is not for you. And he's a giant detour. So can I convince you to take some time for yourself? Can I convince you to really do the work? Join the Back to You Academy. Join it next week in August. Or if you're listening to this after summer, or it's even 2020, whenever you're listening to this, join the next academy. Get in there and don't do this alone. I'm usually not this fired up in our weekly calls, but sometimes, I just get passionate about this because I want this so bad for you. I want you to feel what it feels like to just own your life, to feel so good about who you are and what you represent. And you know what? Here's the thing. I don't feel like, what's up, buddy? You better realize what I got. I don't even have to worry about saying that either, because a good dude is just going to see it. So I can just be happy. I can be me. I don't have to be defensive. I'm not going to treat him like he needs to know what he's got. No, he's going to already know. So I don't have to be like that. In fact, if I have to be like that, he's the wrong guy. I'm just going to be able to be like hanging out and having normal conversation. You're never going to have to be defensive. You're never going to have to come up with some witty response. He doesn't need it. But on the final note, that type of guy will seem boring to you if you have had a steady diet of intense gumball guys that are offering the sex and the romance right up front, and they're super schmoopy. Normal people that are looking for real life connection are not super intense, flailing about and promising you they're going to be married to you the first week. They don't act like that because they're actually adults. So we have to adjust ourselves to realizing what normal, good guys actually sound like and act like. What do they do? How do they ask you out? What does the second date look like? It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. I'm not saying it's cookie cutter, but it's not going to be like a gumball guy. So we have to take some time, focus on ourselves, get our lives together, calm down, let go of the timeline. The fairy tale isn't real. Marriage isn't going to bring you happiness. And conquer solitude. Relax. And count your blessings. Be so grateful. Oh my gosh, be so grateful. If you have a nice place to live, a hot shower, clean water, you can walk around. Can you wiggle your toes? Do you need a pedicure? You're so lucky if you need a pedicure. Some people don't have toes to wiggle. I was just talking to my friend who has MS, and he's in a wheelchair, and he controls his wheelchair with his head because he's paralyzed from the neck down. And he's working so hard on his nutrition and trying to get vitamins and supplements so that he can have some more sensation, be able to move a little bit. He can feel, but he can't move. Like, can you imagine? That's his struggle. Do you have that? I don't have that struggle. So imagine like how different you would think of your life if you couldn't move your arms and legs. Like, what is that? That's a whole different challenge. If you don't have that, another blessing. If you're not fighting illness, you are blessed. You are so fortunate. Like, you can actually go figure out your hobbies right now. Like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, what can you can actually think about, what do I want to do? What do I want to explore today? I mean, I'm in New York City. I can just be like, I want to go explore. I want to go, actually, I'm going to clean out my closet. So but other days, I could say, I'm not going to clean out my closet. I'm going to go to the Met. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to have a coffee, whatever. I wish I had time for that, but I don't have time for that today. But you know what I mean? It's an option. It's like I got my brows done this week, and I have an amazing full-time job that pays the bills. I have this beautiful, sweet little puppy that I wake up to every morning. I mean, it's like, guys, life is good. Life is good. It's really good when you really think about it. I mean, we're sipping high-end coffees, writing in our journals with our pretty pens, and, ordering stuff on Amazon. I mean, come on. We're living like kings, and we don't even realize it. We live better than royalty did back in the day. by far. We have so many amenities, so many things at our fingertips. We have $1,000 iPhones and Androids. We're just like, yeah, whatever. It's just normal. It's normal to whip out that phone and check the weather, check your email, send a text, watch a video, listen to some music, use your calculator, run this app, do this. We basically are, everyone has a computer on them, in their pocket. It's an amazing world. And I just want you to just be reminded that there is so much more to life. Yes, you can and you will find the person that you're going to spend your life with. It is natural and normal because your heart is seeking out your mate, your match, your best friend. But you cannot put a timeline on it, okay? You cannot worry. Don't worry. Don't put that pressure and that stress on you, because that pressure and that stress is only holding you back. It's only holding you back from things that you really should be doing. It's just a detour. It's just a delay. So don't let that stress and that pressure delay you. Tell Aunt Ruth, you're lucky to meet, even though she really wasn't. No, I'm just kidding. But this is what I say to my family. And you know what? I don't get this question anymore because this is my response. I'll say, Aunt Ruth, do you realize that, Uncle Doug's are not easy to find? That this guy isn't just walking up to me every single day offering him. I haven't met that guy yet. So you're so lucky to me. But don't ask me why I haven't met the guy. I don't know. He hasn't come into my life yet. So what do I do? Do you think? Then you'll say, do you think I should just marry somebody just to get married? And they're like, oh no, I don't think you should. Okay, so if I haven't met him, I haven't met him, right? And they're like, yeah, I guess so. It's like. It's like, how come you're not married? Well, I've turned down, Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio because, I just didn't think they were right. It's like, no, we're not doing that. It's a weird question for people to ask. And it's time that we call them out and say, look, that's kind of a weird question. If I haven't met him, I'm not married because I haven't met my husband yet. It's just that simple. So we have to look at people like that. And actually, I will tell you the Aunt Ruths the people asking that question usually are not happily married. So they're like, how come you're not miserable like me? How come you haven't checked? I've checked off this box. What's wrong with you? Because they are uncomfortable with the fact that you're not like them. Where happily married people never ask that question. Just think about it. Think about the people that ask a lot. They probably are not in good marriages. Or they are the people that think that your financial security depends on someone in your life. So they get worried that you're not going to be okay. Sometimes my grandfather, who just passed away, he would, I think I've told you guys this before, but he would ask me, well, have you met anybody? Are you married yet? I'd be like, no. Well, why the hell not? He would get all upset. So sometimes he would forget every time he asked. Sometimes I'd come up with a different answer. Yeah, I found a guy. He's really rich. Oh, good. And then it was just the money, So just to wrap up, I want you to try to let go of all of the fairy tale expectation, these ideas that are coming from relatives that aren't even living your life. They don't understand what you're going through. They're making judgments based on their own perception of what success looks like. They're not really thinking about what is best for your life. And sometimes it's just unintentional. It comes from old mindsets. But I want you to just think, what does my life mean? What is my life's purpose? Who would I really ideally like to be with? Really think about this and open up your mind. Get back to you. Get out your journal, start writing all of this stuff down, and let me know what you start to think about. What does it start to open up as you really start to explore these things? I want to hear from you. So let me know in my latest Instagram post or send me a DM. I always love hearing from you, or you can leave a review on the podcast, whatever aha moment you have, let me know. And also go to gumballove.com. The Back to You Academy is live again. So we're going to be starting in the next 2 weeks. So, or actually it'll be next week. So when this posts, it'll be in August. August 5th will be our next class starting. So I hope to see you there. Until next time, talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.